Welcome back to another Road to Hollywood. It's always a great trip. Tonight we've got an amazing expedition planned for you. So fasten your seatbelts. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to jump right into it. As you know, we have a love for the creation of music and video and film and live shows and so much. And tonight our special guest is someone that's involved in all those facets and more. Welcome to the show. He is a former member of the James Brown Band, Parliament, Funkadelic, Bootsy's Rubber Band, too many to name. Please welcome to the Road to Hollywood. It's Frank "KASH" WADDY.
Frankie "KASH" WADDY, funky drums and things, forever funkin' on, Bubba.
There we go.
Hey,
Thank
man.
you so much for coming in, Frankie.
Thanks for inviting
I know it's
me.
going to take us several episodes to touch the surface of what we need to talk about,
Yeah.
but for the viewers, let's bring them up to date real quick. You obviously grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Where, of course, Bootsy's from, and James Brown, had his whole business operation, the label and the pressing plant and all that.
Yes.
Give us a quick history of basically you into music that formed into the P-Funk era and all that you've, done musically.
I can't. Well, I'll give you the best I can as quickly as I can. We started out in Cincinnati, of course. That's where I'm from. Bootsy and I grew up, and his brother Catfish. We grew up as kids playing together, and paying dues and starving and catching hell or whatever the case, and through happenstance, we winded up with James Brown. We became the original JBs. And I'm going to give you a condensed version. And from the JBs, we stayed with James as long as we could. We left him to venture on. And then we called ourselves the House Guests. And from the House Guests, we got discovered by George Clinton. And then we became Funkadelic. And then we did that for a while. Now, the thing about George is very shrewd. George saw that we were self-contained. He saw that we came as an act. He didn't just hire each guy personally. We came as an act. So what he said was, in the very beginning, was he said, hey, man, you guys help me do this, because he needed a band. He said, and I'll help you do your thing after we get this thing going. And he stuck to his word. So what that did was it parlayed into Bootsy's Rubber Band. And the rest is history. I'm always going to remain Funkadelic, and as all of us are and will be. And I'm an original member and co-founder of Bootsy's Rubber Band. And right now I'm working with Bootsy. We call it Bootsy Collins and the Funk Unity Band. We just got back from Europe less than a week ago, and it was amazing, very successful, and everything's going great. I'm drums. I'm band leader. I'm musical director, and whatever it takes to make the machine work. So that's pretty much the gist of that. I had to give you a quick version because it's a lot of things that intertwine in between all these things, but that's kind of like where it started and where it's at now.
Well, I know we could be doing volumes and volumes and anthologies of the documentaries of the box set because so much history. We're talking the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, all the way up until now, being involved in loving music since the 70s myself. What was it about, number one, working with the hardest working man in show business? James Brown, I know you paid your dues and trial by fire, learned so much from him. What was the greatest thing about that experience? What did it really do to change your perspective?
Well, one of the greatest things, the day before we got with James Brown, we played at a place in Cincinnati called the Wine Bar. I'll never forget, it was on the corner of Reading Road and Rockdale. And meantime, he had us coming in to show them that, hey, it's gonna be his way or no way. And
Yeah.
so anyway, we went to Columbus, Georgia. The place was sold out, and James rushed us to the stage. When we went in, this was a big rush all day long. When we went in, we looked to the left, dressing room, all the guys that we idolized: Fred Wesley, Maceo Parker, all these guys, and we kids, right? And then on to the right, the dressing room, it was James Brown. And at the same time, they're pushing us to the stage. And James Brown comes after we get to the stage, and we're looking out at the audience. It's the biggest audience we've ever seen in our life, biggest stage we've ever been on. We played in such small places until we huddled up on this big stage. It had to be cute because we didn't. That was our space in our mind. That's where you at.
Natural.
Yeah. So James came on stage and he started popping off songs and the keys that they were in, and that's how we did the show. Then after the show, he loved it. Plus, he had jammed with us before, so he knew we could, So he said, "Hey man," "you guys, man," he said, "man, I loved it, man." He said, "You boys, you kill me. He said, "I think I'm gonna give you." Now we made $15 the night before. Mm-hmm. He said, "I think I'm gonna give you $225." We like, ooh, wow. So we was writing it down, and then he said, "Nah." He said, "I think I'm gonna give you $300." And he said, "Oh wow, $300? Wow." We made $15 the night before. He said, "No, I think I'm gonna give you $350." So to make a long story short, we came out of there making about $500 a piece, and this is after $15, and this was amazing for us. Now, he asked us. He said, "Y'all keep writing something on that paper. What y'all writing down over there?" And we said, "Well, Mr. Brown, we trying to figure out what everybody's gonna get every time you quote an amount. We breaking it down for each person." He said, "No, that's what each one of y'all getting." So okay, now our minds we blown totally away now. Not to mention, we got a Golden Eagles bus that we're gonna travel on, and we got a truck full of brand new Vox equipment. James Brown and the Beatles were the only artists that were endorsed by Vox. That's spelled VOX. Equipment, and they would give them everything: drums, keyboards, basses, guitars, that whole thing. And so now we got all this equipment. We traveling on a bus. We got 3 sets of uniforms, brand new stuff, and we're making this money. So we pinched ourselves for literally. They say that we really did pinch ourselves for like a month, and or so. And so to make a long story short, we stayed with James as long as we could. We were a bit too young for him, and he was a lot of his ways were corny to us because he was locked into doing things the way that he'd always done them.
Yeah.
And we could see through it because we were watching very closely how he would manipulate his people and screw with their heads and have people upset all the time. And as far as we were concerned, music, we got so much joy out of it that we couldn't understand people being upset, that were involved. And so we knew that pretty early on that we weren't going to stay with him that long. Mm-hmm. So we stayed with him as long as we could, and we split, basically. Mm.
So it was kind of like boot camp, you were indoctrinated into the hardcore, larger venue performing world, but you really didn't have, like I say, any experience like that before. Now to go from that to what we obviously think of as the Parliament Funkadelic world, that was way freeform, way improvised and jamming and psychedelic and obviously coming out of the 60s, it must have gone from, one extreme to the other. Talk about that, because obviously the P-Funk legend and aura is way bigger than any one of the sets of band members or some of the albums. It's just like the Grateful Dead, like so many other things. It had a life of its own.
It's a movement.
Tell us a little bit about, again, the difference by coming into that, and again, what are the greatest experiences you've had? What have you learned most from playing with the Parliament Funkadelic?
Well, in essence, James Brown's situation was military, was staunch. It was like ABC, XYZ, 1, 2, 3. Everything was on the, it was that type of thing. And the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Jimi Hendrix tried to hire us to be his band. He wanted a more black act, and his girl, Faye Pridgeon, she was out there hanging with us with James Brown, and she went and told Jimmy about us, and because he was telling her, he said, "I want a more black band." This, that, and she said, "Well, you ought to see these guys," and he checked us out, and he said, "Well, I'd like for those guys to be my band, but they would have to quit James Brown, and I'd pick them right up." And I was game. I was ready to go, and the guys didn't really want to. They really didn't want to. So we didn't.
What year was that?
70. It was right before the Band of Gypsies. Buddy Miles and
Okay.
Billy Cox. Yeah, and those guys,
Right.
And what we did was, so I'm saying that to say that irony being what it is, we would have went from the James Brown staunch, military type, ABC, XYZ, 1, 2, 3 type thing to the freedom of Jimi Hendrix. He might still be alive. We might be crazy as hell right now. I don't know. But that didn't happen. But ironically, we went from James Brown to P-Funk. So I think it was meant to happen that way, to where we got both sides of the gamut, and then we hung in the balance. So whomever we went to, whomever we worked with, they got both of those things from us. Now what George did with us, we got that freedom that we needed to break that mold, that thing that James Brown had us into. We had to break our way out of that. George made it very easy for us to do that, because George's thing was, whatever you got, whatever you're thinking, bring it, do it, go for it.
Right.
And
Again, more free form, more improvised, more
whatever,
stretching out, doing your thing.
whatever.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Again, our guest tonight, he is Frank KASH WADDY. We're talking about playing in the James Brown group. We're talking about Parliament Funkadelic, talking about,
Boosie's Rubber Band.
playing and road managing and writing and recording and all of that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the mindset that it takes. We're talking about not only veterans here, but we're talking about formalizing your game plan in today's market, because a lot of these old executives and musicians didn't quite keep up, and what we're talking about today is the mindset necessary to be that recording, writing, performing, creative machine that it takes, that's really, for the opportunities that are out there. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about IES and events like this, where you can really build on that camaraderie, not only respect what has been past, but take that torch into the future and create new things and new ideas. So please follow us right through here. It's a word from Indie Power. We'll be right back on the road to Hollywood.
Forever funkin' on.
Quincy Jones, check out Indie Power. Got it?
Yo, this is DJ Premier.
Yo, what's up with it? It's your boy Young Rocket in the building.
What's up, y'all? This is Lenny S. Def Jam Records.
It's your boy Bun B.
It's your boy Sam Sarpong from MTV's Your Mama, representing future stars.
What up? It's Jake One.
It's Code 187 from Brother Law.
What's up? This Tap Out. I'm masking Skyscrape.
It's yours truly, Chamillionaire. Stand on an independent grind. Stand on the grind worldwide. Doing it big with IndiePower.com.
Fly wild, baby. Get connected with Indie Power.
IndiePower.com, baby.
I'm an independent label. My label's called Year Round Records. And the reason why I started my label is because I saw that the music industry has crumbled a lot. They say it's due to the internet and things like that and file sharing, but it's really due to the lack of passion and love for the art form that you invest your money into.
The majors are taking a hit.
A lot of major labels, you're kind of just a pawn, you know what I mean? Definitely.
Labels are suffering, putting up this money to put out a record that doesn't work, or a record that just might, pop and might not.
The industry is very finicky. You can be hot one day you're not.
The next 3 years, I feel like a lot of people It's going to be a lot more catches. It's going to be a lot more independent distribution to where majors really won't need them anymore.
This indie thing is really where it's at right now, man. You don't gotta wait on nobody. You don't gotta wait on no phone calls for you to send something in, man. Get your indiepower.com on, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. You can be your own boss, control your masters, be you.
I prefer the indie side of things and just, being able to run off of that passion and letting the streets dictate what's hot and what's not.
Independent, I'm for it. You want to cut some of that middle stuff out because sometimes the middle is what's making the most.
The independent thing it's empowering because you control it. You know what I mean? It's something you can own and control.
It's all about me controlling my own dream and getting my own money and collecting my own royalties. And it's all about being able to venture into whatever direction I want to and not having anybody to tell me what to do.
But you're the one making the final decision on everything. You're not having somebody telling you can't do anything. You can do whatever you want.
No one's going to do it the way you do it, you know what I mean?
Be your own boss. indiepower.com.
I'm independent. I'm like the only R&B cat out here that is independent, pushing these units the way I'm doing it at a major scale.
You really are passionate about what you do as an artist, which like I am, you gotta take it upon yourself to start your own business. I've always been in a production company, but to be a record label, it's the best way in order for me to get my music put out the way I want it to be put out.
Follow your dreams, stick with it. Don't worry about what they say about the record companies, man. Make your money off tours. Make your money off ringtones. Sell your songs to movies.
Get a small team of people that you believe in, that's hungry, that's ready to go out and make these phone calls every day, that's willing to take the money that you invest and use it and work it and work it and work it.
indiepower.com, that's the place you want to be, man.
Control your destiny, man. That's where it's at.
The independent power of the movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, what are you waiting for, man? Go to indiepower.com, set yourself up, make something happen.
And they'll get you plugged in with that distribution, the promotion, the marketing, all that stuff so you can get off the ground with your stuff.
If you need to get your stuff heard, you want to become that star that's going to shine, please, man, indiepower.com.
If you got skills, you rap, you do rock, whatever, and you know what to do, you better holler at Indie Power. I'm telling y'all, yo, what you waiting for? Time's running out. Holla at him, Indie Power, #1.
You majors, holla at your boy, man. It's official. I'm gonna do it independent style.
indiepower.com, baby.
Check out indiepower.com. Know what it is in the independent music game, baby.
Quincy Jones, check out Indie Power. Got it?
On the road to Hollywood. Thanks so much for tuning in. Our guest tonight, he is Frank KASH WADDY. He's a veteran of the game, playing with not only the hardest working man in show business, James Brown, all those legendary performances, songs, the Parliament Funkadelic era, the Bootsy Collins and the whole Bootsy Rubber Band, which, of course, Frankie grew up with and continues to work with these days. Just back from Europe. Let's talk a little bit about the mindset, because you're out there traveling. You're seeing, some of the artists that are working and some that aren't, and some that get stuck on that, that oldies train you can never get off of, and some that keep contemporary. Let's talk a little bit about that mindset, because as we've seen the business radically change in the last 5 years, more or less the last 20. We've gone from the vinyl to the 8-track to the cassette to the CD to the MP3 and all that.
Back to the cassette.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, well, especially back to vinyl these days, but let's talk about the mindset is necessary. Why we put on IES, and of course the Road to Hollywood leads to the Indie Entertainment Summit. But talk about why that's so important is growing relationships and learning some of the success techniques from other people, really being perceptive and proactive on, never being hardened clay, always being fresh enough to be molded with what the audience wants, what's going on in the business, what there's a demand for, all of that. Talk a little bit about what you see, that's necessary.
Open and flexible. Open and flexible. You have to be open. You have to stay open, and you have to remain flexible because things have to change. But at the same time, it's almost like you have to pick the good part out of a situation that should stay. you know, and then what you do is you add that with something new and something fresh. You know, one thing that I say that, and I'm probably everybody won't have to agree with everybody, but tracking is not really how can I say it? Artists that try to track now are not really getting audiences off because they're not feeling, they're not getting that feeling that they need, that they should get from the music. You know, that parlays back to what we've done in the past and what worked and what still works now. Now, what we have to do is find a happy medium, a middle ground, where you can try different things. You can go digital. You can do this. You can do that, but you still got to keep that analog in there. You got to keep that warmth in there, and you got to keep that live feel in there and that sound. Because I'm gonna tell you something that the people don't realize. I want to say ignorance, because ignorance is not a bad thing. You only know what you know until you learn more. You know, the digital era, it tells you that, well, if you do it like this, it's mistake free. You won't make no errors. You won't make no mistakes. But what they don't explain to you is this: some of the best parts of a song or parts of music is a mistake.
Yes.
You know,
it's the looseness,
the realness, the human aspect. Exactly.
Yeah, nobody's a perfect robot.
Exactly. Now the trick to it is how quickly you recover. You know, now if you get stuck and you get lost and you get hung up, then that's a bad thing. But we've made errors on stage. We made mistakes on stage, and the mistake was so nice until we demanded to do it again. Do it again. Do that same thing, you know, and then that became part of our repertoire because it worked, you know, and we were locked in so tightly together until, you know, like we weren't going to accept failure. You know, we weren't accepting no aspect of failure. So if we made a mistake, a human error, we turned it into, through recovering quickly, we turned it into a good thing. You can do that with live music. You can't do that with canned music. You can't do that with tracking. And also, at the same time, I'm not going that route on you guys. But what I am saying is the aspect of live music, the feel, the sound, that warmth, that what it does to your body, what it does to your biorhythm, it only comes from that. And we can't lose that aspect of it. We can't lose that aspect of the genre, of the music. We can't lose it, because if we lose that, then all we're gonna have is that's all we're gonna have, and that's all you're gonna get all night long. You know. And
yeah, I mean, what was so great about the blues players, you know, was that expression, you know, of taking a note and just bending it, or you know, going with the flow, you know, like jazz or something. It's just, you know, we don't live in a perfect world, you know, and one of the greatest thing about art is the interpretation of the viewer, the listener. You know, it shouldn't be like everybody gets the same experience.
Yeah. I remember a time when hip hop, the guys, Snoop and the guys, and all of them, all the big hip hop artists, they could go on stage with a DJ and a hype man. And that was like the group. That was the act. Mm-hmm. But then what happened was, through happenstance, we traveled, and we played live. Before you know it, we were catering to little white high school kids to middle age, to a middle age fan base, and they had to have that. Once they got a taste of it, once they realized what it was, then they had to have it. And then what followed that was, now the hip hop guys would not go on stage without a band. You know, they're gonna have a drummer, keyboard, you know, guitar players, even horns or whatever. But they make sure that they got live players up there, because that's what people want now. Mm-hmm. You know, because they understand what it is and they want that now. we were talking about Snoop and this funk project that he's doing now.
7 Days of Funk.
7 Days of Funk, yeah, Dom Funk. Okay, well, the whole essence to that whole thing is he's got a little guy that plays an instrument. You know, that's part of his stable now, and he's catering to our funk music, and I love it. I mean, I think it's respectful, and Snoop is our boy. I mean, Snoop is our people. That's our family, and he loves us, and we love him, and he's showing his gratitude toward everything he's gotten from us and through us by catering to our funk now. He's went from hip hop to funk now, you know. And I think it's a beautiful thing, man.
Let's talk a little bit about the business sense, because again, it's one thing as a musician, but you can be making great art all day long. But if you're not keeping up with how to get it out there and build the audience and the social media and the new technologies and streaming and all that, talk about the mindset, because again, that's one of the important things about IES is really the combination of the creative, the entrepreneurial business side, and the technology side. Really bring that all together, because, like I say, we're not in a world where our government gives us grants to just make art. You know, the way to make a living is kind of transition, and at the same time, all these new technologies. So where before, you know, there was all these labels that was going to put out your music, give you a budget to record, do all the promotional marketing. You just show up at a gig. And now more and more of the artists, by their choice or necessity, are having to wear a lot more hats and be thinking about, you know, marketing and friends and fans and views and clicks and likes and, you know, all of this. Obviously, some acts are completely independent. They're all entrepreneurial. You're talking about the jam bands and all that. I mean, there's all sorts of levels of people that they are the label, they're their own publisher, they got management within, they are booking their own shows. It's completely their own little world, and a lot of them are making a living completely off the radar. You know, mainstream doesn't even know who they are. And these guys are making six figures. They're doing what they love to do. Their audience is following them around the gigs or whatever. So let's talk a little bit about on the business side, how you've had to adapt, and more importantly, why being at an event like IES, you know, the Indie Summit, is to help spark, you know, more knowledge, more ideas, more collaborations, and more connections.
Yeah. Well, I start out by saying this. When I first connected with you, Jay, I knew immediately who you were, because we are an aspect of each other. You know what I mean? And I could see immediately. I said, because I told my lady, I said, look at him, he's doing everything. You know, you know, he'll wait for a couple of minutes to see if somebody's going to do something. If not, he's going to get it done. You know, and I understand what that is. We need a cat like you, because your passion and your knowledge and your will to research and learn as much as you can to be on top of your game. And what's a perfect marriage to me with what you do and who you are is, for the ones of us that can go out and do live shows and do tours successfully and make a living at it, you know, for what you do, and for that situation is a perfect marriage for me, because that's total control on one side, and on the other side, you know, you're setting up business structure. You're structuring business. You know, for the guys that can't go out, that don't have a market. See, what happened with us was we created a fan base years ago, a mainstream fan base, and we weren't supposed to have that. You know, the industry didn't want us to have it. You know, but the music just dictated it. You know, okay, so now we can go out and we can make a living year round. You know, but for what you do with IES is the perfect is you know, it's the perfect merger. You know, and if you think about it, you deal with a lot of hip hop guys, like NWA and all these guys. These guys use our music as their DNA. That was their DNA.
Of course.
So it's all relative.
The evolution, the family tree.
It's all relative. It's all relative. But we need you doing what you do, not just because you set up a structure, you know, not because IES being IES or Indie Power, but because of you being the one to keep that thing alive and keep it working and make it do what it's supposed to do, you know. And I tip my hat to you because, like I said, the first time I saw you doing your thing, I said, okay, that's my man right there. And we connected. We connected immediately, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, having been in the industry for 40 years, and I've actually been very outgoing to help others all the way because people mentored me, is, you know, I've spoken at over 500 or 600 of these conventions, conferences, trade shows, and all that, because I learned a long time ago, you got to give to get. It all comes around. And I kept coming back from these other conferences. I can throw names out there, but let's just say all the other ones, a little less than pleased. It's like, okay, they covered that. That was cool, but they didn't cover this. They glossed over that. They completely left this one out, and they didn't have more of this. You know, whether it's a more corporate event where, you know, you got these big speakers on stage, it's this big kind of room, but it's impersonal. Most people kind of feel awkward to ask a question, or, you know, they say, please don't approach the stage, so there's no connection made. And, you know, so many people want to, you know, share their music and get feedback and make connections, and they brush that off, or they don't have showcases. You know, one of the things about IS is we want to give everybody that attends the opportunity to show what they have, whether it's spotlighting their film screening or their you know, their dance troupe, or, you know, the music that they make, or the, you know, whatever it is they have. We really encourage that, because you go to these big giant things like South by Southwest, which I'll be at next week. And on one side, you got this big drunken spring break Mardi Gras freaknik, got a party out on the streets that just way too much alcohol, way too many brain cells obliterated. And then you have this big corporate conference down the street that costs over $1,000 to get in, and you know, there's good speakers and stuff, but you know, more people are ready for the party down the block. You smell the barbecue and the beer and the screaming. So. Again, I know there needed to be something better, and L.A., of all places, the entertainment capital, Los Angeles, didn't have anything like this. And I knew the town is just filled with people. I don't care if you go on the technology side, or the playing side, or the recording side, or the staging side, or the new media side, or any of this. It's all right here. So, you know, once we, again, put the flag in the ground and now have created IS success year after year, it's time to continue to get the word out. Let people know, whether you make music, you produce, you're a songwriter, you're a screenwriter, you're a filmmaker, a video editor, you know, again, a live musician or a recording engineer, or no matter what you do, anywhere in the creative process, the Indie Summit, IES, is an opportunity for you to really maximize, you know, learning from those that are doing what you want to do more, you know, that higher level people, learn from, you know, the current success stories, and make some new relationships. Again, I always say that most of these people at IS, very difficult to get on the phone. You know, as busy as we are as executives, if a phone call comes in and you're super busy and you're on deadlines, the last call you're going to take is from someone you've never heard of. You don't know what they're calling about, know nothing about them. And obviously, the higher you get in the business, the more you don't have chances for those cold calls. You know, I got Joe Blow on line 4. I don't even know who you're talking about. Take a message. You know, it's the opportunity at IS, and we planted it from day one, is everybody's approachable. Everybody is interactive. There's new people to meet that's going to spark some inspiration or knowledge in an area, or or just that common goal that we're all independent, creative people, entrepreneurs that are moving forward. And really in the indie world, I always felt that people come together and they share information a lot more. They're very giving, whereas opposed to those big labels in the past, they were all competing against each other. So it was like the Hatfield and the McCoys, or the Seahawks and the Broncos. They're not going to share any information. Matter of fact, they're going to throw some false information out there and spy on you and do whatever they can to make sure you fail. But in the indie world, the super success of a Joe Bonamassa or a Tech Nine or Macklemore this year or any of this doesn't take away of anybody else's opportunities.
It's a level playing field.
Yeah, it's really wide open. So that's what we're so excited to be able to do, is give people those connections they could never, generally make on their own. Spark it with ideas. Like one of the things we do is we call it a case study of a success story. And like we broke down the Guns N' Roses album, Appetite for Destruction. How did these 5 guys who just were living on the streets of Hollywood, who never made a record before and pretty much, never had been in a major studio before, how did they make one of the biggest selling albums in history of mankind? Appetite for Destruction is like 60 million sold. I mean, it's right up there with Thriller and the Eagles' greatest hits. And how did that happen? So what we do is we reunite as many people from that project, and we talk about the mindset of coming in and recording or writing those songs, or how the live performances of that video was made, or we can look back at it, because in the case of like a Guns N' Roses, that album was it. They peaked with their first album. They spent 12 years and $32 million on Chinese Democracy to try and create what they did in a garage on the first album, and it's so exciting. This year we had people from Macklemore's team, and obviously since IES he's swept on the Grammys and won all the MTV awards and the BET awards and the American Music Awards and all that. But more importantly, he put out music that resonated with people all over the world. There's, like I say, there's festivals in Germany. They're singing every word, that he does. So it's amazing. How'd they do that without a record deal or a rich uncle or Bill Gates backing you, or, your father works for Clear Channel or something? The whole idea is to really spark ideas and get people talking. So that is one of the reasons why we fight so hard, so long. We put in tens of thousands of hours to be able to give you, IES. So
what's really great too. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is crazy, man. Please say something about that.
Yeah. Well, at the NAMM show, if anybody knows about the NAMM show, it's kind of the Super Bowl of the music gear world. All
crazy.
The instruments, the software, the hardware, all that. Well, we did a panel at NAMM called Making Money, Making
First
Music.
time ever.
Absolutely. And what we did is we brought in about 6 of the powerful speakers from IES and gave everybody a real dose of, ideas of where are some of these revenue streams coming from? What's happening in the world of touring and merchandising, and people talking about streaming and Spotify, and then they hear about you got to have so many plays to earn a penny, or where's the money to be made? Is it film and TV? And
right back to what I was saying before. This is this guy. See, this was an idea that he came up with, and this was a chance that he took. He didn't know how it was going to turn out. He didn't know if people were going to take to it, if they were going to even come and sit and listen to the panel. And it was a total success. I don't think it was an empty chair in there. And that's what you got with Jay. And I really enjoyed it thoroughly. And it was and the people that came, they got so much from it. But I just want to touch on that because that's how you move. That's how you do your thing.
Well, again, when we talk about the mindset, it's not that I switch on. It's not like I even go to work in a sense. But every day's an adventure. And what I've loved all my life, because I started early as a player, age of 6, after I saw the Beatles and Ed Sullivan when I was 5, I had to have a guitar. I had to play in the bands, and went from playing in the bands to putting on the parties and then started working as soon as I could from high school into college, and getting that apprenticeship, being under the Donald Trump, so to speak, of the radio world and the concert business and all that. So I hit the ground running, through great mentors. And like I said, I love to give back. So that's part of it really is the mindset. I mean, we live this every day. I get so much joy in my life out of seeing talented people flourish, seeing them shine, seeing them get opportunities. To mention any of these garage bands like a U2 that went from a little dingy, garage in Dublin, Ireland, to changing the world, or certainly with the Beatles, or what we talked about, James Brown, Parliament, Michael Jackson, Prince, whoever you want to name, but an act that literally came from one room to,
the world.
Yeah, to the world. Really touch the world and all that. That's inspiration for me every day to give my all, to see talent flourish and not be greedy, whether I got a stake in it or, all that. It's the experience, it's the life-changing creative collaborations that I live for.
What I appreciate about what's going on with IES, the industry years ago, because the industry used to take an artist, they'd sign an artist on, and they would develop that artist. They would develop that person into an artist. Mm-hmm. And then they got away from that. They didn't want to do any of that work anymore, and that's kind of like what's the obligation for an IES now. We have to develop the artists, and we have to educate and polish these people, man, because they don't know until they're taught, until they're shown, and somebody's got to show them, or else they're going to go out there blind and get nowhere and get screwed.
Well, I say that a lot because a lot of people just show up and they say, I want a record deal. That's like showing up on a sandlot and saying, I want to play in the Super Bowl. There's a few levels in between that, especially if you're realistic. If you live in the real world, you're not banking on winning the lottery tonight to pay your rent tomorrow. You have to have a real realistic plan. And I think what's so important these days is that people, again, learn from others, take the opportunities that are already out there, tried and true, and you learn from mistakes too. You can't be afraid not to go out there and fail. That's every one of these successful artists.
Take chances.
I mean, first time I saw Prince, he got bottled off the stage at the Rolling Stones, the LA Coliseum down here. They didn't know who he was, and they weren't ready for it, So bottom line is, did Prince give up? Hell no. He came back with Purple Rain 2 years later, 1999, and changed the world, let everybody go crazy. It was, Purple Rain from there on out. So it's that never give up, that attitude is so important, and that's what IS is. So even if you aspire to be on a major label, they want to see you independently successful first. Mm-hmm. So there is no shortcut. You don't go from zero to the Super Bowl party in the locker room. You got to train and pay your dues and make it. And that's what IS is all about. We help you collectively move forward. And it's really what you put into it is what you get out of it. The guy with the arms crossed at the back, like, well, I didn't get any record deal out of it. He's the loser. The one that's in the front, learning, making the connections, building the relationships, making a good presentation, absorbing all that's there, not worrying about the bar, or the girl in the corner, or the thing down the street. That's what it's for. We're going to go to a little clip on IES, see a little bit more about what the industry is telling you to do, and that's get registered. Get ready. It's coming up. It's August right here in L.A. We're coming back. Our guest is Frank KASH WADDY. He's a pioneer in this business, so many areas. When we come back, we're talking about the future, not only what's happening yesterday and today, but what's happening tomorrow that you're going to be so excited about right here on the road to Hollywood.
Forever funkin' on.
Hey, what up? This is Corey from Slipknot.
This is Matt Sorum from Velvet Revolver.
What's up? It's your boy Mac 1-0.
Hey, this is Mike Inez from Alice in Chains.
What's up? This is Be Real from Cypress Hill.
What's up? I'm Sean from Yellow Card.
It's your boy Warren G.
I'm Brooks Wackerman from Bad Religion.
Hey, yo, this is Method Man.
This is Mick Jones and Foreigner.
I got a question for you. Are you serious about moving your creative career forward? Then you need to be at IES.
If you're a musician out there, you got a band, you want to rock, don't sit down on your ass and wait for someone to knock on your door.
You can do it yourself. Don't wait for nobody. Do your thing, man. You know, life is short. You only live once.
Totally independent, and I love it.
Everything's important about the indie world. It has been for a long time.
You got more control, and you make 10 times as much money. 10 times more money.
Don't wait for the record label, do it yourself.
People need to hear the music that's in your head, that's in your fingers, that's in your heart. So get out there and let's hear it.
Because of the internet and because of the greed of those old school executives at these record companies, the power is now in your hands, artists.
Take back your art and don't sell yourself cheap or short to anyone.
If you believe in your music, if you believe in your gift, if you believe what God has given you, make sure you go to IES, show the world what you got. It's gonna be going down here in Los Angeles, and it's something that gets all you independent artists getting going on that drive, doing what you guys gotta do, man.
Be independent. Don't be afraid to be independent.
You gotta be a part of doing you first, and that means independence. I implore you to go to the IES, the Independent Entertainment Summit, and do your thing.
If you think you know what you're doing in this music business, I don't care who you are, there are things you will learn.
The indie way is the way, you know. The large corporations have basically disintegrated. They're looking to the indie community to create the music and create the genesis of what's going to be the next environment.
If you started a new band and you're having a little bit of trouble figuring out where to go next or what you should be doing, who you should be talking to, whether you need a record label or how to get your music distributed, you need to go to the Indie Entertainment Summit. That's the place where you go to meet industry panel experts. They're going to tell you everything you need to know to get you where you want to be.
For me, I spend all of my days and months going around the world educating musicians on how they can better actually release their music and market their music. Part of my mission, it's part of the way that we can grow the music business. So I'm going to go at all the important summits that I can go to, and the Indie Entertainment Summit is going to be one of the places that I'll be. You want to be educated? You want me to help educate it? You better be there.
If you rap, sing, dance, model, DJ, or act, or like myself do comedy, you can't afford to miss this conference.
You're trying to do your thing in this business, and you're tired of waiting on somebody to help you. In August, come to LA, the Indie Entertainment Summit.
You know what time it is, man. It's that time, Rolex time. Chasing cash, get money, good care. Shout out to Hit Boy, G-Rock, Money Making Man, Stacy B, and Circa, and we here with the Indie Entertainment Summit, man. Y'all need to be here, man. It's in LA in August, man. Beautiful people here, man, dropping knowledge, dropping gems about this new way to pursue this music and a new way to get this money, man.
It's the Indie Entertainment Summit. That's the IES, baby.
Very important place to be if you want information to take things to the next level. You may not have access to the internet. It's okay too. Go there. You have an opportunity, IES.
Write it, rap it, produce it, mix it, arrange it, rap it, sell it. That gives you the power.
Every second that you're sitting on your butt waiting for something good to happen, your competition is passing you by. So if you got a dream, go and fight for it and support Indie Entertainment Summit.
I need y'all to come out to my city and represent with the Entertainment Indie Summit. It's going down August 1st through the 5th. If you're an independent artist, you're an independent label, you want to get your music out there, you want to network, come out to Los Angeles.
All you gotta do is if you want to blow up in this industry, go to IES conference in LA, Google it, you gotta be there.
Showcases, panels, opportunities, everything that Indie Entertainment Summit does is something that is very much for today's music industry. We know how it used to be, but we don't know how it's going to be tomorrow. But I think the Indie Entertainment Summit is going to be an opportunity for motivated, ambitious professionals to meet each other.
Music business is a hard thing to break into.
So you gotta do what you can. Check out IES, Indie Entertainment Summit.
If you're gonna be anywhere, you need to be at IES, man, in LA, man. That's where it's gonna be at.
It's going down just like that, August 1st through the 5th. IES, man.
If you ain't going to IES, you ain't gonna live to be an artist. You know why? IES, feed your mind, feed your soul. Get a good lawyer. They'll teach you which way to go.
If you're serious about your music, where do they need to be?
You gotta be at IES, yo.
What's that?
Indie Entertainment Summit.
You should check it out at IES.com. Hopefully this will become an annual event that we'll all be going to many years from now.
You need to
IES.
That's IES, baby.
Going down August 1st through the 5th.
You have to check out IES.
IES, show the world what you got.
Ain't no excuses. It's now or never.
It's your chance to show the world what you've got.
IES.
I hope I see you there.
Indie Entertainment Summit, man. Circa, we gonna be there.
Indie motherfucking Entertainment Summit. Be there, Jack.
IES. Look for it online. The Indie Entertainment Summit.
If you really think you got what it takes to stand out, you really want to make sure you stand out, you can show the world what you got at the IES, the Indie Entertainment Summit.
IES, it's gonna be here in Los Angeles.
Entertainment capital of the world. If you ain't there, you're nowhere.
We're back with The Road to Hollywood, action-packed show for you. Our guest this week is Frank KASH WADDY, the legend from James Brown to P-Funk, from Bootsy to right now today. Not only will he'll be at IES, and of course we inducted him last year and really started the whole funk honors. You know, we do the hip-hop honors, we do the rock honors, but Frankie is the first person inducted in the funk honors. And I know we're going to be joined in this segment by Sally Bayram. And Sally works on the incredible show Unsung. And if you've seen Unsung, Behind the Music, all the great, classic albums, all the great documentaries, why is it really so important to document this music? Why is it important to preserve the legacy and the talent?
Well, first of all, if you're asking me, enough of that wasn't done initially. You know, a lot of great stuff wasn't captured, wasn't capitalized, wasn't like a lot of footage wasn't that big back in those days, video footage and stuff of that nature. Live recordings, somewhat, but not as much as like today. You're gonna get video footage on everything that happens today. You get video footage on somebody walking down the sidewalk, Well, back then there's a lot of stuff that wasn't captured, and it would have been great if it had been, because it would have documented the whole trip from the initial point to where it's at now. Yeah. A lot of that was missed, so it's kind of like playing catch up and making sure that everything that's done now is caught, captured.
Yeah, Sally, please join us and tell us again about the passion. I love Unsung, and as you know, I'm always on you to see the new ones, because to me, as much as you love the music, it's really learning and appreciating the talent that goes into it. Again, this is not created by machines. These are real human beings, and while that person came up with so many great songs or albums or concepts, why is it so important to document, the stories?
Mm-hmm. Well, the beautiful thing about Unsung is we highlight the careers and the rises and falls of those who really paved the way, and we do what we can to find those rare gems when it comes to footage and photos and things of that nature, and do intense research to pull what we can and share with the world, and so everybody can see it and get a glimpse into the era and the lifestyle and the originators, the passion, the drive, and for those that were there and lived through that era, it's a nice throwback, and for those who didn't, it's a nice insight to see what they missed out on and how it led into the music that's popular today. And we've highlighted everyone from, we're actually in our 7th season now, and we've highlighted those acts from the 50s to the 80s. Originally, that was our main focus, our first few seasons. So a lot of your Motown acts, a lot of your funk acts. And more recently, we've been dabbling in the early 90s, which is really cool. And again, for those, to see what it's transitioned into and where music is today and that sort of thing. And hopefully, it keeps going. And on top of that, we have an Unsung Hollywood series now in the works. So initially our focus was music, And now we're highlighting the careers of actors, comedians, featuring TV shows and feature films. And that's on the air right now, actually, for the first time, first season. So very exciting.
Well, it is so great the work you do, and everybody making these documentaries these days. I can't get enough of it. That's one great thing about YouTube. You know, whether you get the full programs or there's so many great documentaries. Sometimes you're searching and you watch this, and then these pop up on the sidebar, and it's like there's not enough hours in the year to absorb all these great stories. And to me, they're so inspiring. And you know, even though I know behind the music and a lot of it, you have to focus sometimes on the more sensationalized or the tragedy involved. But you know, I always find it intimately, you know, just going inside the brain, you know, of these legendary songs and albums. And like I say, that's why we love doing the case study of a success story. It's like, let's get under the hood of that race car that just won the Indianapolis 500 and find out how the hell did you put this engine together that blew every other mechanic and genius in your industry away. And we see that with so much of the talent. Frankie, let's talk a little bit about the P-Funk Honors that we have planned to launch in 2015 and what that's all about. And again, the foundation of funk, what's going to continue to build the legacy and preserve, you know, these great musics.
I came up with an idea with a plan, something that I put together a long time ago. And I kind of kept it under wraps because you have to be protective of your properties. And when I connected with Jay, it's just something that just made me realize that he was my guy. He was the one that I could share some of my vision with and not just share it, but move forward together, he and I. On certain things, and it worked like it was meant to be. You know, it worked initially and it hadn't stopped working yet. And one thing that I let him know about that I was very passionate about is a P-Funk Award show. And the reason that I really came up with that concept is because there's so many funk artists and acts, and you got funk and Christian, funk and gospel, you got funk and rock, you got pop funk, you got alternative funk, you got all these different things. You got the Chili Peppers, they consider themselves rock funk rock. You got what's his name, Adam
Levine.
Adam Levine, he considers this stuff pop funk. You know, that's just to go that route. And you got the Five Blind Boys of Alabama. They're doing funkadelic songs, and Kurt Franklin, and that's gospel. And you got this guy Toby Mac, I think his name is, from Nashville. He's winning awards every year for doing Christian funk. Okay, so there's so many funk artists in this industry, and the saddest part to me is when, if they get a good record and it gets attention and it makes a little noise, then the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, wow, I might be in the running for a Grammy or American Music Award or whatever. Then now there is no category for funk in none of these award shows.
Right.
In none of them.
They're going to take something like R&B and just put everything from a neo to a fishbone all in one category there. It's just... It's kind of crazy.
Well, the only thing about that, the saddest part about that is, if you're a funk artist, now you're a funk artist all the way to when it comes time to win accolades, to win a trophy, and then when it's time to win a trophy, now you got to be R&B, or like you said, neo soul or whatever.
Right.
So, and that's got to stop. And what needs to happen is the genre needs to be legitimized. Mm-hmm. You know, we need to legitimize funk as a legitimate category of music, and I want us to start with an award show. You know, and I believe if we start with an award show, that'll gain the attention that we need, and we come with our own category. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I knew we were going to be just tipping the iceberg. You know, we can go on for another 2, 3, 4 weeks on this. Again, Frankie's going to be at IES. It's August 6th through the 9th.
Be there.
Right here in LA. You can't miss it. This is one of over 100 people you're going to learn from. You're going to bond. You're going to be able to look at all sorts of new ideas that are going to stimulate. They're going to inspire you to greater things.
Yes.
We can't wait to have you there.
Yes.
IESFest.com. That's FEST, short for festival. IESFest.com. Give you all the information. Get registered. Get your band, get your artists, get your show ready. It's coming. And we can't wait to see you there and help you keep moving on that road to Hollywood.
Anything music, anything stage, anything camera, anything lights, action, you can come to me, RJ. Anything funk, especially, you can come to me. That's going to be my department, okay, with IES.
We'll see you next time on the road to Hollywood.